Formerly known as Facebook, now known as Meta, reflecting its focus on the metaverse. The company actually posted weaker than expected fourth quarter earnings on Wednesday, and daily and monthly active user numbers were also down. Shares plunged 18% as we learn this news. So what exactly does this all mean? Well, I do want to welcome into the conversation Fox Business correspondent Kelly O'Grady. She's with us here from Los Angeles, California, to do exactly that. Kelly, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Regina.
Absolutely. So, Kelly, just really nuts and bolts to start us off here. What did we see with Meta just yesterday?
Sure. I still can't get over calling it Meta, so I might say Facebook every now and then.
That's fine.
But to me, it'll always be Facebook, the sophomore high schooler. But listen, Meta missed their earnings by nearly 15 cents a share. And this was a pretty big deal because we had Alphabet, formerly known as Google, and Apple post really, really high earnings. You know, those are their key competitors. But Facebook, they beat on revenue slightly, but revenue dropped for revenue expectations for their next quarter dropped $1 to $3 billion below what analysts are expecting. And that's for a number of reasons. Okay, so they've cited iPhone privacy changes that might see a $10 billion drop in revenue. They also cited supply chain issues and inflation. One of the big things that Facebook makes its money off of is advertising revenue. And when you have companies experiencing supply chain issues, they don't spend as much there. And so it's kind of snowballing. All of these things are interconnected. The other thing that I want to hit on is, of course, they are investing big in the metaverse. Now, this segment that all of their money is going into when it comes to Oculus, into AI investment, dropped $3.3 billion in this quarter alone. It was $10 billion all of last year. So it's a little bit of a headwind that, okay, they're investing in the metaverse, but we're not going to see that profit, that revenue from them for quite some time in that space. So that's kind of the high level of what's been going on there. But yes, the stock is plunging.
Yeah, and you know, when it comes to other companies, Kelly, I'm also seeing here that they said that they took a big hit from Apple's privacy changes, and it showed the first quarterly decline in daily active users on record. So how do the different companies kind of coincide and compete against each other?
Yeah, you know, it's so interesting, right? Because you have Facebook's apps existing on Apple. You have big tech companies like Apple, Amazon, Google with YouTube, all in the streaming space. I think they're becoming so big that it's really hard to define what their core business is. I mean, that's also some of the issues they're having. So in a lot of cases, they're partners, but a lot of cases they're competing against each other. And I think what you're seeing is because they compete and are in so many of these similar spaces, that's what's causing the drop in Alphabet today, what's causing the drop in Amazon, what's causing the drop in Apple, because we're seeing, even though Apple and Alphabet did really well earlier this week and last week, Facebook, now people are saying, okay, whoa, they're all in the same space. Maybe I need to pull out of big tech. I think it should be actually interesting to see what Amazon contributes to the conversation. They're reporting later today, so maybe we'll see a big swing back if they report well.
Yeah, and you know, talking about today and moving forward, as you're mentioning, we're seeing that it's still pretty early this morning. I know it's only like a little after 7:30 a.m. out there for you on the West Coast, but it is after 9:30 here on the East Coast. So we've got stocks trading, and we see that shares of Facebook's Meta, as you said, they're going to sneak it in there sometimes. They're down more than 25% already. So what does this mean moving forward?
So here's the thing. Okay, these companies have very big valuations, and that means high volatility because big tech did so well during the pandemic, right? We all watched Netflix. We all just spent all of our time on these social media apps, and we saw a huge increase in their valuations. But people are getting a little bit antsy. Everyone's expecting, when is this market going to turn? When is the big tech bubble going to burst? And so I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing investor speculation that this might be the turning point. Now, I do think what you are going to see, though, is as Facebook, Meta, invests more in their metaverse and that becomes a bigger part of their business and we actually see what their strategy is, I mean, that's where the future is. So many companies, brands are investing in that space, but they're waiting for Meta to make that first move. So right now, I think you're kind of seeing some growing pains as they are transforming into Meta, Facebook 2.0, whatever that means when it comes to the metaverse, but don't count them out just yet.
Yeah, and you know, you and I, right before we went live on air, were speaking about investing for everyday Americans. So is this or is this not the time to invest in some of these stocks?
Such an interesting question, right? I mean, it's something that I grapple with daily. I would steer clear of some of the stocks that are facing a lot of regulation and antitrust, because I think over the next 6 months to a year, we're going to see bipartisan effort when it comes to those spaces. Now, it might have no teeth, right? We've seen many congressional hearings where lawmakers, it's really more political theater than actually anything happening. But everyone hates Facebook in Washington or Meta. So, you know, I think you might start to see some of that come to fruition. Personally, I think with the metaverse becoming so big, a lot of the transactions in the metaverse are actually going to be cryptocurrency. So we've seen crypto take a huge hit, but this might be a good time to consider investing in that space since it's down if you can weather the volatility.
Very interesting. Well, Fox Business correspondent Kelly O'Grady, is there anything else our viewers should look out for given this news? Anything else you want them to take away as this conversation comes to an end?
I would look for Amazon later today. They're going to report. And, you know, Amazon has been the shining star of the pandemic and continues. You know, I wish I had invested in Amazon prior to the pandemic. Maybe my business school loans wouldn't be there. But I would look out for that because I think you might see a swing back if they report well, because it's one of the FANG stocks, as we call them, you know, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So that's what I would look out for.
FANG stocks. That's the first time I've heard that. Very interesting.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Very good conversation, Kelly. Thank you so much. This helped a lot when it comes to just learning more about what we saw yesterday, because a lot of numbers, a lot of information to take in. So we really appreciate you and your team, and we'll be chatting again soon, because I guarantee you that this is not far from over.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Regina.